When you start being in your own frame more and more, you start to have more magnetic quality. You start to be more respected. You start to, because people see that you're being authentic. And even if they don't agree with what you're doing, they at least respect it because you're being authentic. Welcome back to another episode on the Doughty Podcast. My name is Doughty, and today we're going to be going over the magical power of frame, understanding your own frame. And it really, for me, has become a whole new world over the last 2 or 3 months, I'd say, as I've been coming more into my own frame. And there's this mantra that I've been using that is completely life-changing for me. And it's going to sound simple, but once you start realizing how much in your life you absorb from other people and how much you identify with what other people think, with how people talk to you, how people treat you, and you really see the triggers that happen a lot of times in life that you internalize, it becomes a completely new world, because then you realize that you don't have to respond in the same way, and you can realize that a lot of times it's not about you. And that's the power of this mantra that I've been saying, which is simply, oh, that's your shit, not mine. Or that's your stuff, not mine. And it goes so deep. I'm not kidding you. I have been seeing this in everything. And it doesn't mean that you're not taking ownership for certain things in your life, but it mainly has to do with understanding the boundaries that we set and the identification with what is happening in our life. I've had some experiences with this, and I want to share kind of some stories that I've had just over, even just the last couple of days, about how I've used this in my life. But a lot of this has had to do with understanding if you're in your own frame or not. Now, what does it mean to actually be in your own frame? If you're in your own frame of reality, it means that you have a certain direction and a certain momentum that you're going in order to accomplish a certain vision. And a frame is something that when you begin to set, you then begin to naturally have boundaries. Because that's the thing. If you don't have boundaries, you let people come into your frame, maybe take advantage of you or kind of like call the shots. And then that kind of diffuses the momentum in your life. Like when I first decided to make daily videos on YouTube, I had more things to say no to because I just had less time. So friends would say, hey, come hang out. Let's go drink. Let's go do this. And I'd be like, well, I'm making videos every day and I'm working a 9-to-5 job that I don't necessarily enjoy. So I want to get out of that. So I had to develop my own frame. But you'll notice that a lot of you listening are probably or were probably in a similar spot that maybe I was in just a couple months ago. And even before that, just you're probably somebody that is more empathic. You can intuitively tune into other people very easily. And because of that, there may also be a tendency to really be self-conscious of what other people think of you and how other people respond to you. And you may really, because you can, the thing is when you're empathic and you can feel other people's energy, if you disappoint them, then you really feel that. And because you feel that, you then want to do what you can to mitigate that disappointment. You don't want to disappoint them. And that was a survival mechanism that you most likely developed when you were a kid because you wanted love or wanted some type of validation. And if you didn't get that love or validation, then you thought that there was something that maybe if you did differently, if you changed the way you were, then maybe you would get that. The challenge is that that was the belief system of a younger inner child version of you, and now you still believe that. And that was me too. I realized that I was looking at the shadow in my life, and I was looking at, my own shadow, and I was looking at my own relationships, and I'd realized that I would lose my sense of self to validate someone else's reality. I would give up the authenticity of myself in exchange for validation and a feeling of significance. And then I would lose my frame. And what happens is, as a survival mechanism, many of us growing up, we tuned out of being in our own bodies. And what we did is we became super sensitive in the top 3 chakras of our body. We could then intuitively read people really well. But then what would happen is we take on their shit, we take on their stuff, and we would become responsible for how they would respond to us. We become responsible for their own disappointment. And because of that, what would then happen is we would then lose that sense of self and then fall into other people's frame and then not feel empowered. And then because of that super sensitivity, we would then think that their shit is ours. And really what this is, when we're not in our own frame, it's because we're not authentically being ourselves to the full capacity, even unapologetically. We're giving that up in exchange for significance, approval, validation. And the old version of me was completely different than even the version of me that is sitting before you today doing this episode. A couple months ago, I just felt I was much less of myself. I had different situations in my life where I was around people that I could tell I would give up that version of my authenticity in exchange for that validation. I'd be really nice to them. I'd be kind of like a yes man around certain people. And now that I catch myself and I could see that version of me, I could see that that was the version of me that was craving that significance or that validation. And now it's a completely different reality. It feels like a whole new world because I do things I want to do now because I want to do them. And it's very easy for me to see, oh, that's your stuff, not mine, in the sense that I don't need to absorb this or take responsibility for it and then to beat myself up about it and to feel like the weight is on my shoulders. So in a big way, I feel completely free in a completely new way than I've never felt before. And it is so empowering. And that's why I'm making this episode, is hopefully to show you how you can get back in. It's a magical ability when you start to be in your own frame. And also, it's a very powerful realization that a lot of the shit in our lives that we identify with isn't even our stuff. And this is going to go deep, by the way. We're not just talking surface level things. We're going to talk about inner child wounding in this episode and some practices you can do in order to separate yourself from the patterns that you may have absorbed growing up. And also understanding just in general how you can show up in the world in a much more powerful way and be in your own frame. And here's another thing too. When we're talking about this right now, when I say frame and body, they're actually the same thing. Now, there's an energetic component to frame where what happens is the frame in your own reality, the emotional component and the place you're putting your energy in your own frame, as you build that frame, you will develop more boundaries. But in the same way, the body is the subconscious mind, and the inner work I've been doing with my shadow integration coach, who's the guy that has the double PhD in like the Carl Jung and the shadow work and psychology and all that. I've learned so much from him, and a lot of it is very, very simple. It means getting into the body, bringing the awareness from normally being in the top 3 chakras and bringing it into the bottom 3 chakras as well. And the interesting thing to me is that for a good period of my life, I was not embodied in my bottom 3 chakras. My root chakra of feeling grounded, my sacral chakra, my relationships with other people, my solar plexus, my willpower. And instead, I was more so channeling material for my YouTube videos. It was coming straight through my crown and out through my mouth. Like it was like I was getting downloads energetically through my crown and out, but I wasn't grounded in the same way from the bottom chakras coming into my heart and coming out of my throat, if that makes sense. I know it sounds esoteric and weird maybe, but the idea and what I've understood is that the more I've come into my body and the more I have been able to feel the separation between me and other people, the more I felt strong And the more I'm not identifying and feeling into every little thing that happens and identifying it as my own. Now, not every, like when we talk about being in the body, bringing the energy in the bottom 3 chakras, my guess is that most of you would really benefit from this if you're finding yourself attracted to this episode. And of course, there are some people that need the opposite of this. Now, for example, there are some people that are very narcissistic. My ex-stepmom is a narcissist, or is and was a narcissist when she was in my life. And my dad, I would say, is probably somebody who isn't completely grounded in his bottom 3 chakras. So in a way, he attracted himself to a situation where somebody had a very strong frame. And then what happened is he was kind of like fell into that frame. And then there was that energy dynamic going on. And I would say my ex-stepmom, who will manipulate her environment in order to get her needs met. Here's the thing. I've said this many times. The people pleaser / empathic person and the narcissist, they both want their needs met. The way that the narcissist does it is they take what they want and they manipulate what they want to get it. The empath or the people pleaser does the same thing in a little bit different way. Their equation is if I give attention, approval, which the narcissist loves, by the way, then in exchange, I'll get validation. I'll get my own approval, my own sense of significance. So once I take to get as the narcissist, and the empath is I give and then I get back in exchange. They're both manipulations. The difference is that the narcissist is in their own frame, and we all have narcissistic qualities and empathic qualities. Now, the narcissist is way overbalanced in the unhealthy way, what we call the narcissist. Now, the key, though, for the empath person or the people pleaser person is to go into the frame of their own body. And remember, frame and body are the same thing. And to literally bring the awareness down to the bottom 3 chakras and to start to feel safe in your own body. And as you feel safe in your own body, you will then begin to feel safe in your own frame. Your own frame is an energetic structure that you create in your life where you've created your own sense of safety, your own sense of boundaries, your own sense of vision. And the more you believe in your own frame, the less you will fall into other people's frame and become a yes man or a yes woman or be taken advantage of. So it's interesting the way that this works. But let me share with you how I've been working with through this. These last 3-4 weeks, I feel like a completely different person. And a lot of it comes from, like, I used to feel guilty if friends wanted to hang out. Even now, I've had somebody that texted me. It's like, hey, I'm doing something at my house. It's this get-together, playing board games and stuff. And the prior version of me would have felt obligated to go or would have lied about why I couldn't go. I would have said, oh, I'm busy, I have friends in town. And even though I didn't have friends in town. What's more of a valuable thing to me now, though, is my integrity, being very honest. That's something that I value more than ever before. So now I go inside my body and I say to myself, do I want to go? And then I realize, on that day, it's in 2 days from now, I could make a last minute decision. But I can really go inside my body and say, do I want to go? This is a clip from the Daily Vortex Podcast where I post 2 times a week. And we go really deep on understanding consciousness, understanding how to raise our vibration, how to bring these spiritual concepts down to earth in a relatable and practical way. For the whole entire episode, you can click the link below, but also subscribe to that of the Daily Vortex Podcast on either iTunes or Spotify. That's where there are a backlog of over 100 episodes, plus the whole entire episode length is there. On this channel, you will only be seeing clips moving forward. So if you want the whole episodes, you can click the link below. You can subscribe. They're also very easy to listen to. They're automatically downloaded once you subscribe, plus you'll never miss an episode. So this is where most of my intention is and my energy is going these days, and I look forward to bringing you many more amazing episodes. But for the rest of this episode, you can click below and you can subscribe to the Daily Vortex Podcast, and I look forward to helping you expand your consciousness in a very practical and relatable way. So I'll see you on the next episode, and as always, peace, much love, and namaste.